Hey, my friend, welcome back to yet another episode of the Soul Podcasting Podcast, where passion, purpose, and grounded strategy come together to help you amplify your voice without burning yourself out. I'm Demetria, founder of the Soul Podcasting Collective, where my team and I support podcasters with editing and production, and where I coach solopreneurs, creatives, and coaches who want to grow their podcasts with clarity and confidence. And if you ever want to reach out to me directly, you can just head over to soulpodcasting.com. You'll see a little pink tab on the right side of the screen on your desktop, and that's where you can drop me a voice note, and who knows, I might just feature it on an upcoming show. It truly makes my day to hear your voices and know who's listening on the other side of the mic, so don't be shy. I love connecting with you here. So this week, with Thanksgiving in the air for my US friends, honestly, gratitude already stirring in my heart, I just wanted to slow things down a little bit and talk about something just a bit deeper than strategy, deeper than downloads, and definitely deeper than your content calendars. And that is the power of gratitude in your podcasting journey. And I don't mean the cliche kind of gratitude where we just list out a few nice things and then we just move on. I mean the kind that sits with you, that resonates with you, the kind that reminds you why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. I don't think gratitude is soft or fluffy. It's not this little feeling that you add on or sprinkle on top of your day. I believe gratitude should be a part of our strategy in our daily lives. I believe it's a mindset reset. It's a reorientation back toward what matters when you've been pulled in a dozen different directions. And podcasting, especially for solopreneurs, can pull you in all those directions pretty easily. Some seasons feel kind of heavy. Some feel foggy when you don't know what's ahead of you. Some feel like you're pushing through the mud and you can't get through to the other side. And then you have those rare moments when everything lines up and everything feels effortless. Those are the moments that are worth noticing. And gratitude helps you to notice when you're in the flow and things are aligned for you. So today I want to unpack how gratitude has shaped my own journey over the past 2 decades and how it can quietly reshape yours, especially if you've been tired or overwhelmed or unsure or just sitting in a place of transition. So let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the biggest things that I'm thankful for, truly thankful, is that I took that leap. I took the leap into podcasting over 20 years ago. It's wild to say that out loud sometimes, especially because when I think back to that season of my life, I was just, the word I want to use is curious. I was just curious. I was eager. I was hungry to learn from people who were older, wiser, more experienced than me. And I was just a little naive and very open to learning new strategies and ideas. And that combination worked in my favor more than I realized at the time, because back then, podcasting was not this polished mainstream medium with 1,000 tutorials on YouTube teaching you like which mic to buy or how to format your show. There were no top 10 tips to launch a podcast blog posts back then. There weren't even clear directions or definitions of what a podcast should be. It was all very new. It was messy. It was experimental by nature. And I honestly had no blueprint, but something inside of me said, go ahead. Start, try, see what happens. And so I did. I didn't have the fancy gear, I didn't have the polished sound, and I definitely didn't have the confidence or the maturity to fully understand what I was building. In fact, I might even, now that I'm thinking about it, want to give just a little synopsis of my timeline. Not another episode, of course, not this one, but I'd like to maybe show my timeline of what my podcast was like over the years. So maybe auditing some of my old episodes. I might go back and do that just for fun. And also just to put myself out there. I mean, it's going to be a little cringy and I'm going to be embarrassed, but I think it'll be a fun episode to do. So if you like that idea of my auditing my old episodes from decades ago, let me know. Of course, you can reach out to me on my website, like I shared earlier, by leaving a voice note for me, or just go to the contact page. But at any rate, I knew that I had this desire to connect with people. So that kind of took on a life of its own. The fact that I wanted to connect, to learn from others, and to share what I was discovering. So at the time, I was a stay-at-home, work-at-home mama who was raising a toddler, and I was deeply involved in almost idolizing the idea of being a work-at-home mom, because I was determined to be home with my baby and raise her and take care of her and not have to outsource daycare. So my idea was to be home with her, but I needed work while I was at home. So I was all into the work at home moms, Yahoo groups, and all the things we had back in those days. And I was finding loads of work from home. Also, my mindset at the time was very education oriented, because I was also at the same time earning my master's degree. So I was just really in a different phase of life where I was open to learning and meeting people, and being at home a lot meant that I did feel isolated sometimes being at home with my kid, and I needed that interaction and engagement with other adults. And so I didn't have a lot of in-person groups that I was involved in. So being online and getting that kind of interaction through the internet was the way that I kind of fulfill that side of myself that was missing. So I did have this overwhelming desire to connect with people and learn with them. And when I think about that girl in her mid-20s, that younger version of me who said yes, even without knowing what the future held, I said yes to podcasting. I'm deeply grateful that she didn't overthink it. Because if I had waited for perfect, I would still be waiting today probably. If I had waited for a roadmap or for permission or for credentials or better equipment, for a better voice, and believe you me, my voice has changed a lot over the years. And I don't just mean my tone and my messaging, I mean my literal voice has gone through a boatload of changes. And so had I waited until I thought, oh, I want to wait until my voice is perfect, I never would have gotten on the mic. Or if I had waited for more experience, none of this would exist right now. Soul podcasting would not have existed. My early shows wouldn't have existed. The clients I've served over the years wouldn't be in my orbit, and the communities that formed around my work wouldn't exist. So taking that leap changed everything. And sometimes the bravest thing that you can do is just to begin. Sometimes the most grateful version of you looks back and says, I'm so glad I didn't talk myself out of that moment. And that's what this season reminds me of. So I'm also grateful, number 2, for the information age. Okay, I'm grateful for the era that I grew up in as a solopreneur, this wild, unpredictable, overwhelming, but incredibly generous era that we call the information age. We talk a lot about the downsides of being online, the overload, the noise, the pressure to keep up, but I can't ignore the fact that so much of my learning, both personally and professionally, happened because of the access that we had. I didn't have a formal program or a big budget to get trained in audio or digital marketing, and I didn't have business mentors sitting next to me in real life, but I had the internet. I had search engines. I had the early blogs and websites and wikis, if you remember those. I had online forums. I had YouTube tutorials before YouTube even became what it is today. And then I had other podcasters who were figuring it out too, like Dave Jackson, who happened to be on my podcast a few months ago. Really excited about that one. Go check it out when you get a moment. And that is episode number 53. I've been watching him and following his work for such a long time, so it was really an honor to talk with him. But I remember the pioneers like Dave, and I started right along the same time as he did, probably just about that time in 2005, but I was looking up to people like him to kind of pave the way for me. And then, of course, I had people generous enough to just share their processes online, and I absorbed everything that I could. So the internet became my teacher. And because of that, I realized that knowledge isn't locked behind degrees or gatekeepers. It's accessible, it's shareable. And if you're willing to be a student, the universe will always give you a teacher. Where there's a student, the teacher shows up. Even if that teacher is a stranger on the internet who took the time to record a tutorial at 2 a.m. And when I think about the businesses that I've built over the years, the online communities, the multiple podcasts, the courses I've taught, the coaching, the tech tools, all the editing workflows that I've developed, the relationships I've created and have had the opportunity to have, all of it happened because we live in a time when information is accessible. So have I been overwhelmed at times? Yes, absolutely. Have I had to learn how to filter, to discern, to pause, rethink my strategies, or even unplug for a season? 1,000%. But even that is part of the journey, because the information age, for all of its flaws, shaped me into a creator who's resourceful, adaptable, and always learning. And so I'm really grateful for that. And thirdly, I'm grateful for the virtual communities that formed around every single project and brand that I've created over the past 20 plus years. You know, one thing you learn very quickly when you create online is that connection is the glue. It's the heartbeat, really. It's the thing that holds everything together, even when the numbers don't always reflect what you're building. So over the years, there's always been a small but mighty group of people who showed up consistently, people who resonated with my message, who understood the heart behind my work, who rooted for me even when I changed directions or experimented with something new. These are people who sent messages at random moments that landed at exactly the right time. People who shared episodes with their friends and encouraged me when I felt tired, or simply listened, which honestly means more than most podcasters realize. Those communities, whether big or small, or formal or informal, tight-knit or spread out across the internet, have really carried me through seasons when I questioned whether I should keep going. They've anchored me when things felt uncertain, and they've reminded me that podcasting is not just about numbers and strategy or trends. It's really about people. It's about impact. It's about voice. And I never take that lightly, not for a second. The relationships that have formed through this work, the friendships, the collaborations, the clients turned friends, the people who have stuck with me through multiple rebrands and evolutions, and there have been a lot. That's the part of podcasting that I don't ever want to overlook. So to anyone listening today who's been a part of my journey in any way, I just want to say thank you. Truly, thank you. And that said, before I start wrapping up, I do want to highlight a beautiful review from my friend Elaine, who wrote this: stellar content, encouraging vibes. I started listening to Soul Podcasting as part of my preparation for launching my own first podcast. I didn't know what to expect at first, but I found Demetria's style warm, engaging, and encouraging. Demetria is incredibly pragmatic and open about her own journey and generously shares her best practices while recognizing that everyone's situation is different. I'm the type of person who likes to be prepared, and her content speaks to podcasters and aspiring podcasters about marketing best practices, leveraging tools to drive decisions based on data, and finding your authentic brand. Strongly recommend. Elaine, thank you so much for taking the time to share this and to leave a review. You have no idea how meaningful it is to read your words and to know that this podcast supported you in your own launch journey. And that's exactly why I show up here. So I'm really grateful for you. Thank you for that. And for those of you who haven't checked it out yet, make sure you go check out The Musician's Loop, which is the podcast that Elaine co-hosts with Trist Curlis. And every week they listen to a song together and then they break it down through decades of their combined industry experience. So they go through like musicianship and the arrangement of the songs, the songwriting, the chords, the technology, all of it. So it's one of those shows that reminds you how rich music really is when you understand what's happening behind the scenes. And I enjoyed their first episode, and I am subscribed to their podcast now. So you can follow them on all of the podcast platforms or visit them at their website, which is The Musician's Loop, LOUPE.com. Check out Elaine's podcast. And as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US, I'm recording this somewhere close to the last week of November. I want to wish my US-based listeners a warm and restful, deeply refreshing holiday. I hope you get a moment to breathe and to pause and to just enjoy some good food and better company and create just a little bit of space in your week for gratitude, even if things are busy or complicated or messy. And for those of you, my friends, listening from all around the world, even if you're not celebrating this Thanksgiving holiday, this is still a perfect moment to reflect on your own journey and think about what podcasting has brought into your life so far. That's the growth, the confidence, the opportunities you've had, the people you've met, the ideas that you've explored, the perspectives that have shaped you, because podcasting does open doors and it stretches you. It definitely challenges you. And it gives you experiences that you never expected to have. And I'll be taking a small Thanksgiving break myself, just a chance to rest and recharge and get grounded, but I will be back right after with new content. And I also have some exciting updates coming about what's next for Soul Podcasting. I've been quietly working on something behind the scenes that I'm so excited about. I think I might have let the cat out of the bag on the last episode, but I can't wait to share more with you in the upcoming weeks. And in the meantime, if you're taking a break, this is a great time to catch up on a few episodes from the Soul Podcasting archive. There's a lot there. There's foundational lessons, there's some strategy breakdowns and episodes about creativity and courage and clarity. And I hope that they give you that little spark or encouragement that you need for the next part of your journey. And if an episode hits home for you, I would really love to hear about it. It means more to me than you know. And of course, if you need support on your podcasting path, my door is always open. Whether you want a quick coffee chat or you're ready for a deeper dive into coaching, you can explore everything at soulpodcasting.com/services. Reach out anytime. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for walking this journey with me. Happy podcasting.